Hey everybody. One of the most shocking revelations this week came from Danny Fantump. And it came from him having conversations with Pokemon Distribution about their costs. There's always this underlying assumption that Pokemon sells products to distribution at the same price. Danny Fantump, in his conversations, and we have to assume his distributors were not lying to him or the distributor higher ups were not lying to him, he stated that Pokemon charges more for restocks than what they do for initial product. There was always this assumption that distribution are making bank. They're holding back about 20% of their product. They're forced to allocate 80% of their product at release. They hold back 20% and they make a ton of money in that holdback. So there's not a lot of insight on what distribution does, and Danny Fantump released some. And this is probably the most shocking news. Forget that tariff stuff and all the Pokemon, the Pokemon plagiarism accusations and all that. This is the most surprising piece, especially for stores, that Pokemon might be charging more to distribution for restocks. This completely changes the perception that we might have about distribution, because I'll tell you, when stores get together, we complain about distribution. We don't really complain about Pokemon. We don't say, oh, Pokemon is charging more money for the tins. So, Prismatic Evolutions tins. These ones right here. I got these from Distribution. Distribution charged a lot. Let's call it 16 Canadian plus tax per pack, 20 packs. It's an awesome product. But the reason I bought it is because of, look at this as a display. My camera doesn't like not seeing my face. As a display, look at this, right? This is an amazing product from Prismatic. And at release, I only got two. This week, with the black and white, I saw that this came available from Distribution. I assume restock. I assume Distro maybe didn't hold back product, and this is actually new product or recently released product from Distribution. So that maybe Pokemon didn't charge like Distribution $90 for that. Maybe. So it's really shocking that this revelation, this tidbit of information came from Danny Fantump's mouth, like his conversations. And I'm confident he goes through a fair amount of product and he has really good relationships with distributors, and it's surprising to say that Pokemon charges more for restocks than for the initial print wave. I mean, this puts all of these, devil wings and pitchforks that stores point at distributors. This points it at Pokemon. I mean, they are the reason why we can't restock Prismatic. We can't buy this product for the release day prices, right? Oh, this is the reason the market doesn't go back down when new product comes. I'm surprised. I would love for more this information to be verified or actualized or by someone else. I'm hoping anybody who has good distributor relationships can find this out. Next time I have a chat with and I'm not sure whether they'll share this, but I'm gonna have a chat and ask this question, because this is really, everyone assumed that distributors pay the same amount for product. We all knew that they bought from third parties, they bought from other distributors, they bought from investors, but for their price to go up from Pokemon is a shocking revelation. And I mean, when I first heard it from Danny, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Is he being lied to? And I'm hearing other people talk about it, and other people had this same light bulb moment, what? If this is true, then all the high prices that you're paying are not the distributor's fault. I mean, there's a huge wave of it's distributors. If it's not their fault, it's Pokemon. It's just like people blaming stores, blaming LGSs for overcharging, the Timmies that are blaming stores for high prices. Stores were playing distributors for high prices. I guess as a store, we're a big Timmy store. blaming distributors for high restock prices. If it's not them, then all pitchforks point towards Pokemon, which is shocking, right? This is strange. This is strange. Now, restocks were always a little more expensive than your initial allocation, but if distributors are paying more for restocks, that's for reprints for that. Anyway, I can't say more than it's shocking, because what that means is there's this underlying assumption that distributors are making bank on holdback product. Now, they might make a little, just like I might hold back a product, a case of ETBs. I might hold that back and then sell it 6 months down the road. And, I'm giving myself a pass. I give other stores a pass for making sure they have inventory. But distributors doing the same, they were the devil, because they'd always get more and sell it. But if they're not, then distributors earn like a huge pass for not being the villains for high prices. This is surprising, and which means they're not making as much bank as we all assume when they're selling us $16 pack prismatic. We have to assume that's because they had to pay a lot more to Pokemon. Now, I'm hoping for this information to either get verified or refuted, because it's interesting. Because all of us stores, us Timmy stores, blaming the distributors, are we wrong? Are we incorrect? And as a Timmy store, if the pitchforks need to be pointed at Pokemon, I mean, we untimmy ourselves and we actually build better relationships with distributors. We understand what they're dealing with, which a lot of smart collectors, they understand what stores have to deal with. A lot of smart collectors understand that stores are charging higher restock prices because distributors are paying higher restock prices. And I guess now maybe it's Pokemon that's doing it. And if that's true, right, that means Pokemon has an even bigger incentive to control the secondary market. Now, that is an interesting piece of information. There's always this assumption that restocks, people who, like the big guys, like Alpha, Rudy Investments, there was always this assumption that they got, when they got secondary reprints, they were getting it at near wholesale prices. Now that the market's shifted, maybe the distributors were fire selling it. Maybe they were selling it for less than what they bought it from, which stores do. Stores have to sell product for less than what they buy it to back in the low times. Now we can almost break even on any product, which is the way stores are happy. Maybe Pokemon is actually manipulating the entire secondary market to ensure that everything stays at MSRP or higher. And that would mean they would control the prices on any reprints. They would watch and monitor and release product very carefully. And maybe they've tuned in things like Pokemon is smart. And the more data they have, the more insight, the more they can make business decisions that tune in so that their product is always getting, they're getting bank, getting profit, always. Because this would be crazy. We all know Pokemon controls it. And as someone who controls your product, if you're this well-tuned to control supply, control the market, this is an incredible revelation that Pokemon is actually controlling the entire secondary market. Now, maybe this is tinfoil hat time, but if that's true, then that could upset a lot of people, right? For so long, everyone's hated the stores for overcharging, hated the stores for buying at Walmarts and clearing shelves, which we don't do, but some people do. For so long, we've hated these villains. And what if it's the product that you're buying, the Pokemon? What if it's the Pokemon that's the villain? How does that change your love of the cards, your love of the IP, your love of the overall Pokemon realm. Like, how does that change things? It significantly shifts a lot of the angst away from stores, away from scalpers, away from distributors. It shifts it to Pokemon because they're the ones who are manipulating the secondary market, manipulating the primary market by shifting a lot of their product to places that only sell at MSRP. It's very interesting. And I hope to hear more about it. I hope this wasn't just a little blip. I hope other people start to dig in and find out this information from the distributors. Is this true? Is the Pokemon hobby cooked? I hate that word. I use that word and it pisses off my son because as an old guy, we shouldn't be using the word cooked. Even most of these 30-year-olds, you don't use the word cooked. It's a boomer term. No, you're a boomer. If you're over 30, you're a boomer. You shouldn't be calling stuff cooked. Newsflash. That's that's for like 15-year-olds and over. So hope you guys find this video interesting. To me, it shifts a lot of my thinking. And I've always been really, I love my distributor. They're like kingmaker, right? But I've had this little, the devil on the shoulder, thinking to myself, oh, well, restocks. I wish they would give me some restocks at a good price. And they don't. Maybe it's not their fault. Maybe they're just like, that's what they're getting from Pokemon, which would be shocking. So what do you guys think? Is Pokemon the master manipulator of print runs, of rarities, of their products? Are they also a master manipulator of the secondary market? Is the villainous distros not at fault? Are they actually just like us? And we're just big Timmies not realizing what's happening? I'm curious. I'm very, very curious, and I hope to find out more. Let me know what you guys think. Could this be true? Like and subscribe, guys.